Hey, Shalom Markings, Rakam Akapash from Jimis London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chach Hadash. I want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there, to the hope for that pushing the truth and all sincerity. Back again with another video. Got this article here from GBN, Great British News, right? And this is COVID-style lockdowns to be imposed on UK by WHO under new treaty, right? And it's like we were saying when the whole Pan D was going on, right? That this is just like a trial run to things, that they want to run in the future. And here it is, power is kind of shifting away from, individual governments, right? Because this is because bear in mind the agenda of the elites is a world order, right? Not an individual, sovereign order. These independent governments. No, they want to control all nations through a particular order, right? And you have all these organizations out there that, based on, the world, like globally, right? Who is one of them? World Health Organizations for the world, right? So they get to say, what's good and what's not for the world. And anything that they say, these governments should take notice and should apply what they're telling them. Now, during the whole CV era, where individual governments still got the final say in what they did and didn't do in that particular situation, with their peoples, right? But now, let's say more power is being shifted towards, in the hands of these globalists, these global government, global governing bodies, all right, to be able to dictate to other nations what they will do or what they must do, in certain situations, certain circumstances, and so, as I said, power is being shifted towards these, these kind of governing bodies, to take away power from, these individual nations, man. All right, so here it is. Just read the title, right? And so this one's concerning the UK specifically, but as we're going to read into this, it's something that's being imposed elsewhere. It's like it, right? So say lockdown. I feel like I should still be choice with the words still, but who knows this day, right? But anyway, LD measures could be imposed on Britain by the World Health Organization during future pandemies under new powers, MPs fear. Member states would have to follow instructions by the agency when responding to pandemies, which could see the introduction of V passes, border closures and quarantine measures under a draft update to its regulations. The new Pan-D treaty proposals mean Britain would be required to spend 5% of its health budget on preparing for another virus outbreak. Right, so it's an order. Like, they're gonna be made to commit 5% of whatever budget it is that they got for their health budget for that particular purpose. Right, where now it's whatever, in it, whatever they feel like doing. Could be more, could be less, whatever. Right, but they're gonna be kind of made to do that. Right, it goes on to say MPs have fears over plans to increase the WHO's powers, right, which would see countries required to hand over the recipe of the V's, regardless of intellectual property rights, and to counter misinformation. So they're going to be in control of that, right? Conservative MPs have written to ministers to warn of an ambition evident for the WHO to transition from advisory organization, right? So that's during the Pan-D, they were advisory, so they were saying that people should, was it 2 meters apart and all this kind of business. Like, there's giving things what people should be doing to minimize the outbreak or whatever, right? Changing from advisory to this is what you're going to do, right? This is what you must do, right? And I'm guessing there's would become some sort of repercussions for not doing that, you know. But it goes on to say for the WHO, ambition evident for the WHO to transition from an advisory organization to a controlling international authority, right? And who is at the top of all these organizations? It's the elites, right? So they're bringing in the world under one banner, okay, i.e. New World Order, One World Order. You know, this is in the letter they urged the Foreign Office to block powers that appear to intrude materially into the UK's ability to make its own rules and control its own budgets. The rule changes have been proposed as part of plans to update the WHO's international health regulations following the CVPAN-D. Speaking on GB News, Christopher Chope, MP for Christchurch and East Dorset, said, "My principal concern is there's a move afoot within the WHO to transform it into being an advisory body to one which is able to compel members to behave in a particular way, and that will completely change the character of the organization." Yeah, right. In response, he said, "We've only got one organization that leads on maintaining the planetary health. It's only one organization." Right? Monopolized, right? So everyone's gonna be beaten to the drums of these organizations that cover these particular, aspects of living, or crises or whatever, man. And like I said, it's the elites that ultimately oversee all that, man, that have these organizations in place. All right, ain't gonna be down to the individual governments now, like, because I said they all, all these different nations deployed different tactics in combating the so-called CV, right? So that's not gonna be up to them anymore. Well, if everything goes through, right? Says we've only got one organization that leads on maintaining on the planetary health. The WHO is the only body we have from the United Nations, and I said it's all linked, man. Esau been making these organizations and that so he can gain the foothold over the world, to have these world world powers that that he can control them all, right? And this is why, when it comes to the MOTB, well, guess what? In the time of crisis, you're going to have people talking about that this is what people need to do. This is what people should be doing, right? And Revelation 13:16 says this, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, right? He calls it all. It's a global effort for everybody to be, see hip, to take the MOTB. That's what's going to be presented to the people, right? And like I said, all these governments, they're going to be on the same mindset, because they're being told from the higher up that this is what needs to be implemented. All right. So yeah, it's to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right. So that's, part of the implementation of that is having this ability to dictate to the world what they're going to do or what has to be done, and it's always surrounding a crisis where they're able to do these types of things. So like I said, we just come off the back of the whole CV era, right? And so they've set precedents now that we've had the WHO organization going around, telling everybody that, oh yeah, you need to wear masks, you need to stand 2 feet, 2 meters away, no groups bigger than 6, and on all this stuff, all this stuff that they kind of put out there for these governments to kind of do, right? But now they're receiving more power to say, look, you don't have a choice in the matter. This is what you're gonna do. All right. So the WHO is the only body we have from the United Nations, and if you wish to recreate a WHO, it may be a lot worse than what we've already got, right? So, what I'm assuming they're saying is that basically, man, this is what we got. This is what we're dealing with. It doesn't matter that there's only one, right? We can't make up all these different ones because, they might not be as good, right? So, yeah, trust in this, innit? All right, trust in us, right? And that's what it's going to be. Trust in Egypt. Trust in the Esau system. Yeah, we know best. We're the guys. right? But when you got a monopoly, when you got one power running thing, they can run it however they want. There's no oppositions, man. That is a lot of trust right there. You gotta have to place in that organization, that they have your best interest at heart, and they don't, right? So when a pandemic of this ilk, like we've just had, strikes, we've got to be prepared, and we've got to be prepared internationally. So we've got to be on the same page together, right? We've had international care regulations. However, those international regulations were never properly followed. And what is proposed is a better cooperation between the states so that we respond better to support each other. The treaty was first proposed by world leaders during the Pan-D and was initially designed to improve alert systems, data sharing, and the production of the Vs, right, to foster an all of government approach, an all of society approach. The plan represents a significant shift for the organization for a member-led advisory body to a health authority with powers of compulsion. You will be made to do things, right? This is particularly worrying when you consider the WHO's poor track record. Right, so here it is, we're trusting in these organizations, and at the time, like, you're made to believe that everything these men are saying is gospel, right? Like, you can't speak, because, hey, brothers know, right? Videos were getting taken down. Other people know that were speaking against certain things. Their videos were getting taken down, right? Because they're so infallible, right? Yeah, you always got the message, we don't, YouTube always tell you, we don't support information that's not officially, said by the WHO. But my man, the MP now, is supposed to be, about all that, right? Is saying, considering the WHO's poor track record. Now, we couldn't say that and be like, no, you can't criticize the WHO. The WHO are always right. You know what I'm saying? But my man's saying they got a poor track record, right? On providing consistent, clear, and scientifically sound advice. Bro, man, they're just shitting on him. This dude just shitting on who said this, man? These are shitting on him. Must be one of these MPs. I don't know, right? They're just shitting on him, right? So they're cursing it out, like, yeah, man, like, you're not even consistent, man. Like, why would we want to listen to you? Why would we want to be dictated by you what to do when you can't even give clear, concise, scientifically sound advice? That's madness, right? But these like I said, this is the government body that are pushing for that global dominance, right? Clear and scientific sound advice for managing international disease outbreaks, right? So, yeah, man, she don't rate them. Well, they don't rate them. Whoever said that, don't rate them. All right. So, but that's what they're pushing for. This is what global agenda is, or part of it. Pushing for global power that sit in one place. So I've got a couple of scriptures here we're gonna bring out, right? So, I didn't even focus on the title really, but yeah, the LDs, the L Dizzles, right? So they're preparing for you to be in more L Dizzles in the future, and we know this was gonna occur, right? Like I said, it was a test run to see what they could get you to do, and they got you doing it for like 2 years, pretty much, And so, yeah, and before that one was even ended, they're already talking about the next one. William Gates was talking about the next one. So they already got in their mind that they're going to use these types of tactics or whatever in the future for whatever thing comes along the way, to cause this devastation. Klaus Schwab is talking about cyber attacks and all this type of stuff. We don't know what's going to come next, but what we do know is something's going to come, right? Let me get Psalm 64 verse 5. It says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily, right? Traps and them L Dizzles, man. Yeah, you snared in your own house, man. You can't leave, can't do this. Chinese drones telling you, how to resist the urge for freedom. This kind of stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be a mad one, right? They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Devils think you're slick. But the people are simple, so yeah, it looks that way, innit? You're gonna get one over on them all the time because it's simple. But not the elect. You ain't gonna get one over the elect, man. The elect see what the hell you're doing, right? So they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. So these test runs and things like that, they're testing the waters, how you people react, what you will accept, what you won't accept, how you behave in that time. They're gathering data. For those 2 years, they were gathering data, man. So they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. All right, so always putting and scheming and gathering data, to prepare for the next one. All right, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. So lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay, we're not ignorant. We understand what this is all about, what this is all for, what the end goal is. But we knew it before they, before they start coming out with these articles, It's Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 5 says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. He's talking about Esau, right? He's the proudest of the proud, because he's on top right now, right? Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heateth unto him all people. He wants to rule over all people, man. He wants everyone and everything to belong to him. That's why he's gonna have you sea-hipped. To be branded, to be marked, right? To prove as proof that you belong to him. And his system and all of that, right? So that's why he requires a global governance, the global governing bodies. He requires them to have power, right? You don't want sovereignty of nations. You don't want that. The elite want to rule outright, but no one can resist what they want. And when you see hit, man, you won't be able to. And let's close out with this. Yeah. 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 17. Verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men at a time of trouble, such as never been since the beginning of nations, right? Pursuing to Daniel 12:1. Right, so things are going to get real bad out here. And again, at these times of crisis, who's going to step who's going to step in? Who is going to step in? These governments, they're gonna do what they're being told to do and crack down on you fuckers, man. Try and bring order and stability, right? That's what they're gonna do. Order ab chaos. That's the motto. That's what they do, or what they plan on doing, right? So they're gonna have these global bodies like the WHO, and come and set in plans of action, so to speak. How to deal with you people in these circumstances, man. All right. So for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power, right? So there's going to be riotous behavior in the street while all this is going on, because people are going to be starving, people are going to, be super frustrated, man, super angry, right? Other people see what you devils are doing, man, and they ain't going to sit around and let you do it, especially in America, man, with the guns and shit. You're going to have them patriots out there talking about saving America. So, you got those riotous fellows out there doing what they feel they need to do. Okay, but it's going to be a global thing. These people are going to be upset, to say the least, right? So there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? Because of the El Dizzles, man. Okay, 15-minute cities and all of that kind of stuff, man. That all will be there, right? And you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going out. No one coming in. Yeah, they tried to do that during the pandemic. Some of the MPs got caught out trying to, not obeying their own rules by traveling distances and going to next places or whatever to visit this person and that person, when they told everybody else that they couldn't do that. you know. But but they said they're looking to impose these things on a greater level. All right. So for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right. So, like I said, when the time comes, these governments are going to get their marching orders, essentially, man. Right, from the elites. Okay, and they're going to do what the elites want them to do, and that's why the whole world is going to be implementing CHIPS to people. Right, they're not going to do things differently. Right, like back in the pandemic, everyone had their own sort of way of dealing with it. Right, it's going to be a global consensus, man, because the orders are coming from the top. Guys like these corporations like the WHO being used to tell people what they're going to be doing. But ultimately these are just the wills and desires of the elites that they're imposing. That's what it is. All right, so yeah, looking forward to this. Time to soon come, right? So with that, I'm gonna say shalom, Lord, when this is edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. So till next time, I say shalom.